expect more people will join as we go along. Welcome to this seminar. Today our speaker is Dr. Hope Weber. Hope joined IRRI almost 1 year now, and this is his first Thursday seminar. Hope is a senior scientist in monitoring and evaluation in social science division. His education background, he received his PhD at Auditorium University, if I get the pronunciation right. And then prior to that, he also received a postgraduate certificate from Delft Technical University. And he had 2 MSc, one in plant breeding and protection from Auditorium University also, and another one from Plovdiv Agricultural University in Bulgaria. After all that, Hope has worked also at several institutions. The very first one here is he served as International Monitoring Evaluation Specialist at the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs. That was through a work grant project in Liberia. He has also served as Vice Rector at Hussein Tutu University Institute for Advanced ICT Studies. That was a collaboration between Kwame Nkrumah University in Ghana and Vrije University in Amsterdam. Hope has also served as coordinator for a master's program, the European Master of International Communication at Hanze University in Groningen, in Netherlands. And he was also sitting as regional advisor for biosafety clearing house within the United Nations Environmental Program. Hope has spent several years at ISNA. I don't know if many of you still recall ISNA. That's the International Service for National Agricultural Research. It used to be in The Hague. He was there as a project manager in Management Information System, also Manager Information System Officer, and also as a research analyst. Hope also was a scientist at the Plant Breeding International CPRO, Center for Plant Breeding and Reproduction Research. When Hope joined IRRI almost a year ago, he had been doing a lot of work, working on the metric and indicator for tracking indicator for GRiSP. He's going to be talking a lot about this today. So with that short introduction, I would like to invite him to start his seminar.
Yes, thank you, Bob. Welcome everybody to my seminar, and good afternoon. This is the overview of what I'm going to discuss. Today. The targets of this, the objectives of the M&E strategy, and tracking intermediate development outcomes, IDOs, at action sites at national level and at global level. And also tracking outputs within IRRI and tracking performance of key milestones. Then I'll also talk about the data collection strategy for the milestones and the outputs. And then the management information system we have been developing for M&E and to be able to manage the M&E data. I'll talk about that. And then the future plans in relation to what is happening within the CGIAT and M&E. So as most of you know, we have the impacts of GRiSP 2020 impacts, potential impacts. There is also the 2035 potential impacts. But for this seminar, I chose to use the 2020 impacts because at least it's a 5-year span, and 2035 is 10 years. So let's just stick with something we can measure within a short period. So the potential impacts 2020 is to increase global rice production with 85 million tons per year over 2010 values. And also to about 40 million undernourished people reach caloric sufficiency in Asia, with reducing hunger in the region by 7%. And reduction in expenditures on rice, ensuring that 72 million people are lifted above the poverty line to $1.25 poverty line as used by the United Nations. Then water, nitrogen, and labor efficiencies in rice systems improved on the wide scale, saving 7 billion cubic meters of irrigation water annually, and trained a new generation of 1,000 rice professionals. At least 30% of them must be women. So these are the targets, and I think there are more, but I just have a few of them for the sake of time. Now, in order to be able to achieve this impact, we need to monitor and evaluate. So the strategy, the objectives of the M&E strategy is to develop methods and tools for collecting data to routinely monitor and track the performance of these milestones, indicators, and outputs, products, and periodically evaluate intermediate development outcomes and impact. So let's look at the GRiSP. We know that in GRiSP, within IRRI, we have 6 themes. And in AfricaRice, we have 4 themes, 4 programs, and in CIAT, 1 program. All these working under one CRP GRiSP. So this is more or less the results framework of GRiSP. Starting from here, we have the research activities. That is mainly scientific discoveries, new genes, new QTLs, new agronomic practices. Most of the activities conducted by the different teams within IRRI and the other partners. So based on these activities, key milestones are set by GRiSP, and this is for internal use. And I think most of you know about this, that every year you are asked to report on your key achievements. Those are the key milestones that you have worked on. So these activities will lead to outputs, and those outputs could be products, development, new varieties, new management practices, publications. So there are about 34 quantitative indicators determined by the CIAT, and this have to be reported on every year. Now the outputs will then lead to the outputs will lead to outcomes. The outcomes are change, new, let's say, stress tolerance rice varieties that have been developed, has to be multiplied and disseminated, and then they have to be adopted by the end users, who are mainly farmers. But before then, you also have the products that have to be adopted by intermediate users, the NRDS, who take these genes that have been developed and turn them into varieties, or using ancestry from varieties developed by IRRI to develop their own new varieties. So at this level, the intermediate development outcome level, this is mainly where the CGIAT is focusing on. Because as you can see, the impact is a huge task to accomplish. So the intermediate development outcomes are where we try to research on to find out whether or not where the technologies that the GRiSP is developing are being adopted, are being taken up by the end users and the intermediate users. Then if this is done successfully, then you have impacts at a large scale. Now, focusing on the intermediate development outcomes, the IDOs, we have 7 of them. One is increased rice production that meets local and global demand. So, under this IDO, we have at action sites we can monitor whether or not we are achieving these IDOs at action sites. Action sites are within countries where IRRI projects are active. Let's say if you go to India, the areas, the regions where IRRI projects like the STRAS, the CISA, and all those projects where they're active, those are what we call action sites. So indicators at the IDO 1, at the action sites, yield. What is the, as a result of adoption of these varieties, what is the increase in yield? Or yield count? Adoption of rates of improved rice varieties and practices to close yield gap. Adoption rates of practices and machinery to reduce post-harvest losses. These are the actions. At national level, we also have these indicators: production, consumption, and import-export volumes. And at global level, more or less these are based on international statistics. Then we have IDO 2, increased profitability for rice producers and increased rice affordability for consumers. And these are the indicators. At IDO 3, increased efficiency and value added along the rice value chain. These are the indicators. And IDO 4, increased sustainability and reduced environmental footprint of rice production. Then IDO 5, increased health and nutrition from rice and diversification. And then increased capacity and resilience in the rice sector. And IDO 7, which is gender empowerment. And these are the indicators. Indicator 1, women's control over resources. Men's and women's control over selected key agricultural resources, land, livestock, water, forest, and so on. And indicator 2, women's participation in decision making. Decision over own labor, decision over own income, and decisions made in groups or collective organizations. So in terms of tracking these development outcomes, we, as I said, we track at 3 levels. Global level, we're using worldwide statistics. Most of you are familiar with that. And at the national level, we also have national statistics, and international statistics using GIS and remote sensing and modeling. And action sites, we use regular household surveys, which could be a proxy for biophysical indicators. And we also use common protocols like and computer-assisted personal interview, CAP, and data management systems to collect information to be able to analyze and get results on these IDOs at action sites. Now, last year when I came here, I was leading a project, I'm still leading the project, on a project called GRiSP Metrics and Indicators for Tracking in GRiSP. And we did a survey in five countries. In India, about 3,600 households, Bangladesh, 3,000, and Myanmar, 2,000, and Vietnam, 2,000, and Philippines, 1,200. So altogether with 11,800 households. These are the details of the areas where we did the survey. In Bangladesh, almost all over the country. And India, the eastern part of India. And in Myanmar, the Ayeye Wadi region. And in the Philippines, the central Luzon. And in Vietnam, the Mekong Delta river. The objective of this survey was to collect data from smallholder farmers, households in South and Southeast Asia for the purpose of monitoring progress towards this intermediate development outcomes, and to provide insight into adoption, constraints to adoption, technology targeting, evaluation, and impact assessment. We use purposive sampling at region and state level, or province and districts, because we want to focus on the areas where IRRI is active. So for that reason, we did not use random sampling at this level. Now at the blocks or village and household level, we did use systematic random sampling. And these are the criteria for sampling. Must be action sites of IRRI, flagship projects. Spasa, Sisa, Origa, Pure, Lift. An extent of rice, area grown. Ecosystems, fresh water, saline water, flood prone, drought prone, irrigated, rain-fed. Then rice must not be, farmer must be growing rice to participate in the soil. So this is more or less the procedure that we use for the survey. We, based on the IDOs and other, because this is a huge survey, including not only the IDOs, but all other social research that is being done at the social science department. So, but basically for me, the focus was on the IDOs. We used it to design the questionnaire and the sampling method in group. About 5 people were leading those 5 countries. And then the questionnaires were pre-tested in countries, in 5 countries. And then we trained enumerators, mostly universities, and some NGOs participated. And then within the countries, sampling was done and interviews were conducted. And then now we have data. Data has to be quality checked and cleaned in the countries based on our advice on how it should be cleaned. And then they send it to us here at IRRI. We do the final checking and cleaning and validation. And then the data will be analyzed. And then after that, we report. So more or less, right now, I will be presenting some few results, but I can tell you that the data is still being cleaned. So it's not the final results. We hope by the end of May to have the final clean data, and then we'll start the analysis from June. And I will then have another seminar somewhere in October to present the full results. So what you see right now is preliminary kind of results. So here you have the top 3 varieties used in the dry season in Bangladesh: Biridan 28, Biridan 29, and Biridan 28. In India, Swana. This from my visit in India, I think I can confirm this, that is true. Swana, Oja, and 1010. Myanmar, Tihet, Yin, and Tihet. Yin, somehow similar sound, and Mala, Hue. In the Philippines, RC222 and SL8 and RC216. In Vietnam, IR5444 and the others. So in the dry season, we have also in Bangladesh these varieties that are being grown. In India, Swana is also grown in India, both dry and wet season. In Myanmar, these are the dry season, the wet season data. And the Philippines, the wet season, and in Vietnam. Vietnam right now, the data is still being collected for the wet season. So we don't have, we cannot show results on that. Now, reasons for adoption of the varieties. This is very clear that most of the households adopt the varieties because of high yielding quality. And then you also have here good eating quality and short duration. And somewhere there is a hybrid and drought tolerance. Sources of information for adoption of the rice varieties. Most farmers, rice farmers say that they get their information from co-farmers, from same village or other villages. Okay, there are also, in Bangladesh, for example, they get information from government agricultural staff. And then you have Vietnam and Philippines from company trader or input dealer. So these are the sources of information for these varieties. think this is consistent with what Takashi also found out. But apart from the farmer-to-farmer communication, diffusing the varieties, there are farmers also go to the market to source for new varieties. To source for new varieties locally. So I think this is consistent. Adoption of post-harvest technologies. Here, power pressure is more or less the highest. Most of the countries also have this plastic poly bags for seed storage and then power pressure. And you also have here rice straw use. Okay. Now a brief lessons learned based on this survey. In Bangladesh, the comment was that CAPLI, computer-assisted personal interview, can be used for long questions, and this is true for all rounds. Combined use of paper and computer was the lessons learned in Vietnam, that they are not only just using the tablets, but at the same time they take notes on paper. And then you have many rice varieties with local names. This is almost all the countries. When you ask the farmers, they give very many local names, and then that makes it a little bit difficult to know which are the correct varieties that they're talking about. So, I think that is very well known. Use of measurements, not always specific. This is specifically to India, because we have all these different measurement units that have to be converted to kilograms to tons. Then assets becoming sensitive, but when you ask questions to households about their movable and immovable household items, they're a bit sensitive about that. But when you ask questions related to tools, farm machineries and all that, I think that they have a problem with that. But of course, asking questions about assets, movable and movable assets, is to us to know about their whether or not they are profiting from rice farming. Women enumerators were active in data collection. 90% enumerators were women in Myanmar. This is true because I was there. Some villages are very remote to travel to. No electricity, no accommodation. This is in Bangladesh and Myanmar. But the enumerators have problem with the charges, batteries for charging the tablets, and also they have to travel over water areas to get to the farms. Difficulty in charging batteries to tablets. Okay, so this just some pictures of the farmers in Vietnam and Bangladesh, India, Philippines, India. Okay, at the national level, we, as I said, we are using national statistics, but of course these statistics are coming from the countries. And last year we had 2 workshops to work with the nationals on their national rice development and R&D strategies. So there was 2 workshops held in Malaysia, one in Malaysia in May, and another one in Hyderabad. So we basically presented all their national rice development strategies, and there were discussions also on the relevance of this development outcomes to the countries, comparing the country national development strategies and plans and the GRiSP IDOs. And we also try to find out whether there are commonalities among countries' strategies, and whether also countries have quantitative targets and timeline for the development of the outcomes, for the development outcomes, and whether there is a logical link between the rice development goals and their research objectives, and whether or not they have impact pathways from research to product development to development outcomes, just as we have here. I have some data that I have analyzed, but I think I will present that in another segment. But the national rice development strategies can be found on the GRiSP website. This is for CORA, Council for Rice Research in Asia. And AfricaRice also did similar exercise. It's the CAT, Council for Agricultural Research and Development. And then you can find this also on the website. I think the GRiSP has helped them in organizing this workshop. Now, I talked about the IDOs, and now I'm going to talk about the outputs and milestones, the strategy that we are going to use to collect data within IRRI here for the milestones and the outputs. So here you have the three organizations that are under this. You have IRRI and AfricaRice and CIAT, and partners is GRiSP and CIAT and IRRI. So data from related to milestones and outputs will be collected and stored in and analyzed in the GRiSP management information systems that we have developed. Also from AfricaRice, from CIAT, and from partners. And once that data is processed, we have contact with the project leaders, and team leaders and project leaders, and the scientists to confirm. And then after that, the reports written based on that will be given to the GRiSP director, who will then make the final check and send to the donors. So this is the strategy. But now I'll go a little bit into the indicators for the outputs. So we have here indicators and targets and actual results achieved. So these indicators, there are 34 of them set by the CGIAT, and everything here within IRRI and AfricaRice and CIAT have to report on this. Number of flagship products produced by CIAT, number of flagship products produced that have explicit target of women farmers, and percentage of flagship products produced that have been assessed for likely gender disaggregated impact, number of tools produced by CIAT, percentage of tools that have explicit target for women, and tools for likely gender disaggregated impact, number of open access databases maintained by the CIAT, total number of users of these open access databases, number of publications, ICI journals produced, number of strategic value chains analyzed, number of trainees short-term programs facilitated by the CIAT, and then number of trainees in short-time, both male and female. So it continues, about 34 of them. This happens monthly, and we have now a database that we can use for that. In terms of the milestones, this is done yearly, and then we have a traffic light system that we use. Red meaning that it's not achieved, and yellow partially achieved, and green fully achieved. I'm proposing that we have some quantitative numbers to this scorecard, but that would also help if we have quantitative targets. It will also help the researchers to be able to formulate SMART indicators. SMART meaning specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, and time-bound indicators, so that it will be easy for those who are going to monitor. Right now, I understand that the team leaders simply look at what has been done, what has been achieved, and then assign red, yellow, or green. So in this proposal, 0 will mean not achieved, or not, it has not been done. And yellow, 1 to 50% partially achieved. Green, 51 to 100 fully achieved. And blue, more than 100% exceed expectation. This is also the similar scorecard we're using with the Strasbourg. Now we have a management information system that we have developed for the GRiSP M&E. This is a resource-based management tool for managing IRRI and research and development data and reporting on GRiSP intermediate development outcomes. The database is a relational database built on MySQL and PHP. It's web-based. These are the entities of the MIS. We have main elements which are tables and attributes, tables and columns, the attributes, and relationships. Relationships could be one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. We have a diagram that we have an entity relationship diagram that we have developed for this. And before, last year when I came here, I introduced this to the team leaders. Bas was there, and Magor, and so many others were there. So they witnessed the evolution of the development of this database. So basically, we have the teams, product line, products, milestones, budgets, scientists, planning, proposals, reports, semi and annual reports, development indicators where the IDOs will come, and the monitoring data, monitoring reports, evaluation data, evaluation reports, and documents, and geo-reference. The idea is to geo-reference the milestones so that we can know where they are taking place. And then we have projects indicators. Right now, we are working with SPASA, and the sub-database has been developed linked to this SPASA database. Yesterday, I presented it to the scientists, and I think it will help them in the process of collecting data and reporting. So this is the front page of the database. I want to go a little bit into, I don't know if we still have time. Maybe I can show you the database. So this is the front page. And then here you see about this M&E, about impact pathways and theory of change, intermediate development outcomes, M&E strategy, milestones, list of milestones, and then linking to the map. Results. So we have results, the IDOs, outcomes at global level, is where you have the worldwide statistics. And then national level, these are mainly national targets. They are not actual results, but the targets set by the countries based on the meeting we had in Malaysia and Hyderabad. Then you have the action sites. So after this survey data is analyzed, then we'll be able to populate this action sites with those indicators. And then you have outputs, and then such data, tracking, performance, and reporting, annual, semi-annual, and then the maps. And then you have projects. Right now we're working with SPASA. When we're successful with SPASA, then we can move to another project. And here you can register information. You can log in and be able to enter data. So if I click on list of milestones, so these are the milestones, the theme and the milestones and the region where they are taking place, and the milestone. I can see it there. Team, the milestone team. Those are the scientists working on this milestone. And then you can go into details. But of course, to go into details, you will need to have a password. Because we detail, then you will see how the milestone was, the milestones were tracked and scored. So for that, we're not going to show the whole one, but we will just show this one and then through this map, show where they are in the world. Right now, this part is not really working fully. We are still in the process of putting this together. But I think that within 1 month, this should work. When you click on that, you should be able to see where that milestone is being implemented in the world. And then results, if we go to results, we can go to action sites. So under action sites, you see the IDOs, IDO 1, and then you have the country, the location, the year, and the indicator, farmers yield, so based on this IDO 1, all those indicators that I showed you. And then the value of the indicator, and the units measured, and then the source where you got it from. So in this case, it will be the. So what you see here is not correct data. Just populated it for the sake of presenting. But once this data from the survey are completely analyzed, then we will populate this. And this is possible to, you can search as well. So for example, I want to have all data from Bangladesh. So I have all that, and then I can download it in Excel. So you can download it and save it on desktop, and then I can use it for. Let's say if we do this every 3 years, just like the worldwide statistics, people can be able to download this data. But before we do that, here we have to first of all make publications from them. Then we can share them with the world. But it will be useful because then we can USDA and FAO are collecting similar data, but those are rich organizations, big organizations, and they have resources to cover all over the world. But we are just doing for 5 countries. But we would be able to do this and make and have more comparable data with what those big organizations are doing. Okay, now at the national level, we have as I said, these are national targets. They are not actual values that's based on surveys, but the targets which the countries have set. This is also useful for other countries to be able to look at within the region what are their targets. Okay. So at the global level, I think what we did was just plug in the worldwide statistics, and then have it there. Most of you are familiar with worldwide statistics. If I open it, it will take some time. Now, projects, we have Strasser. I will not go into that. I've shown that already to the Strasser group yesterday, and also in India last week. Now, registering information. You click here. Let me sign out first, because I already signed in. So you have to sign in, actually, with your email. So it's already there for whoever, and then the password. And the login. Then you come into the management center. Here in the management center, data management center, you can add new record, you can edit the record, you can check the status of the record, you can change your personal account, and then, check your personal account and change your password, and you can sign out. If you want to add record, you click here, the national indicators, action sites, milestones, and Strasser. So if I click on milestones, then here you see the details I was talking about for the milestones and those scores. And this is only for the team leaders to fill in these scores. But of course, every scientist could be able to enter. When you click on add record, and you can be able to enter your own milestones. Currently, it's being done in Excel, but we want to deliver this so that you can add a new record, and then this is more or less centralized. We can also search, you can edit, you can delete. But of course, this deletion have to restrict only those who are responsible for that milestone can be able to delete, not everybody. Okay. So also for the others, action sites, enter data view. Okay. Then we have, I think I'll stop here for this. Then I go back to the slides. Future plans. We want to connect this database with AfricaRice and CIAT, the partners, so that we can be able to, they can be able to input their data from where they're working. So I think next week I'll be going to AfricaRice to work with the M&E specialists there to be able to ensure this connectivity between the database and AfricaRice. CIAT doesn't have any database yet, so I think we can just provide it to them and they will enter it. But AfricaRice, they have their own database, so we need some kind of negotiation to be able to work together. Then the implementation of the MIS data collection, and analysis and reporting. We want to do this every 6 months, a semi-annual report, and then annual report for the outputs, the milestones and the outputs. And of course, for the IDOs, it's every 3 years. That was the agreement. We'll do the analysis and reporting on the area-based household survey, and then we'll work on the sparse M&E. And there is a new initiative from the CGIAT that all the commodities series should work together. So in June, we are going to Paris, and all the leaders of the CRPs are coming together to find a way to have common ideas and common indicators and common metrics for measurement, so that we can reduce these IDOs to at least the indicators to at least 20 based on these 7 IDOs. So for the Mystic team, these are the people who worked with me. I was responsible for the project, but I also worked in Myanmar, Alice in the Philippines, Val in Vietnam, together with Street, Sofiane, and Arindam in India, and Bandari in Bangladesh. So these are my team members. They are also working on research data management, so I supervise this team, and also encourage them to work on monitoring and evaluation. And this is Dolores. She helps me with coding the database. She's quite good at that. I design and stuff, and then she goes.
Thanks for the presentation. Right now, so I open the floor to you for the question. Anyone?
Thank you, Hope. That was a pretty comprehensive overview of where things are going, and I really take my hat off to you for putting all this together in 1 year's time. I've got quite a few questions. It looks to be like it's well thought through, that it covers the demands that are put on us by various donors, as well as the CGIR and the whole CRP process. And looks also like it will be very useful for us internally, so that's all very good. I was surprised to see that only now, after it's well structured, does it look like all the CRPs might be coming together to try to compare notes on what they've done on M&E. How much joint thinking went into the original planning of the instruments?
Yes, thank you for your question, Director. That was, from the beginning, I worked with Bas and Sam on this. And I also involved the team leaders. We had a meeting at SSD where I showed them the entity relationship diagram and also the tables and the fields and the connect relationships. And I have got very good inputs from them. And more or less they gave the go-ahead that we should continue with this. So I think there was, even within SSD, I presented it also when we had the retreats last year. So most of my colleagues at SSD, they're familiar with this.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with inside IRRI, but as we link to the other CRPs,
yes.
And I think that between AfricaRice and IRRI, that'll be fine, and CIAT will be fine, but will every CRP have their own internally developed M&E process? They'll be different.
Right now they are different, but in June we're trying to meet together to negotiate and agree. So we'll be presenting all that we have developed and then see where we can have common grounds and develop a system that we can all use to report to the CPIA.
Okay, then one last question. I have others, but I won't dominate the microphone here. When I look at the IDOs and then the interviews, etc., it's for very good reason farmer focused primarily. But at a certain point, the private sector will be involved. Are there any plans or thinking about how to understand what kind of linkages are being established with the private sector and how that could be monitored? I know there are questions about seed, where farmers get seed, etc.
Yes.
Are there plans to try to incorporate input or linkages with the private sector?
Yes.
Could be seed sector, could be input access, it could be farm services advice, etc.
Yes. Yes. I think there are plans, because if you look at the theory of change, and impact pathways and theory of change, some of the enabling actions to be able to ensure that these varieties are being adopted has private and public partners involved. I saw that also clearly with the Strasbourg, that we need to involve the private sector in seeds, multiplication, and dissemination. And the assumption is that if we do that, we will be able to multiply and disseminate at a larger scale. So there is a plan within Strasbourg, and it is in the theory of change of the GRiSP. But I think we have to make that plan a reality at the GRiSP level. At the project level, I think this is working fine.
Thanks, Hope. One of the questions I have here in terms of opportunity is internally within IRRI. When GRiSP began in 2011, GRiSP was basically 90% plus of IRRI's research program. We have a major CCAFS initiative that is now a strong part of IRRI. And so this is the need internally that we actually are able to integrate these in terms of monitoring and evaluation, etc., rather than sort of two CRPs going off in different directions. It complements the question Bob raised, but I'm thinking specifically internally as relates to IRRI with the programs that we have.
Yes, thank you, Madam, for your question. I think within the programs, within IRRI, we have started initiative to work with Strasbourg. As I said, after finishing with Strasbourg, then we're going to move to another project to be able to do the same thing. So there's a plan in the pipeline for that.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question about the ranking that you had with the color coding, that you said, okay, they have been fully, the milestones have been fully accomplished or have partially been accomplished. First of all, I was a bit surprised to see that 51% already of accomplishment already qualifies for full accomplishment. The next, that maybe more comment, but the other question that I have, 51% of what actually? And how do you really rate that? And I'm involved in other CRPs, one particular CCAFs, and there we always have these problems that it's very much a question of how you define the milestones.
Yes.
So it's you can do it in a way, define milestones that makes it relatively easy for you to accomplish 100%, or you can make it in a rather challenging way. And there are also different sort of significance of different parts of the milestones. For example, in CCAFs, very often they say how many countries you're working in and how many national partners you have influenced. And obviously it makes a big difference if you're working in India or China as opposed to, let's say, Timor-Leste. But in that kind of ranking system, it will come at the same level. And so insofar, I really wonder how you can deal with this problem of quantification of things that are often not quantifiable as such.
Yeah, I think you're correct. We have two types of indicators. We have quantitative and qualitative indicators. So my advice, to the project leaders or team leaders is to try as much as possible to make the indicators smart even for milestones, for outputs and outcomes. So if you say you are going to reach number of partners, or number of farmers, or number of public sector officials, or training of so many farmers, or so many students, you have to give the number. You want to develop genes, how many genes you want to develop? You want to develop new varieties, number of QTLs. So you try to give numbers, and that makes it specific and measurable. So then you also have a target. And then we are calculating based on that target that you have reached for that year, and then make the score. But there are instances where you may not be able to quantify. Then we simply use qualitative measurement for this. But as much as possible, we try to quantify so that it can be measured.
Any more questions? Okay. If not, then as usual, we have our certificate signed by our DG, Dr. Zegla, to share our appreciation from the Institute, also from our third seminar committee. Thanks for the great presentation and great seminar.
Thank you.